Women Who Own It podcast spotlights women business owners who are pioneers in their field, setting trends, blazing trails, and creating game-changing innovations. Brought to you by WBENC, the largest certifier of women-owned businesses in the U.S. and a leading advocate for women business owners and entrepreneurs. And me, Allison Maslin. I've been a business owner for the last 35 years. I'm the Wall Street Journal best-selling author of the book, Scale or Fail. So join our bold community of women who built it, grew it, and own it. I'll see you on the show. Welcome to the Women Who Own It podcast, brought to you by WBENC, the largest certifier of women-owned businesses. We are all about bringing you women business leaders that are making things happen in the world, brought to you by women business leaders. And my name is Allison Maslin. I am the founder of Pinnacle Global Network, where we mentor business owners to grow and scale their companies. And when you're running a business, you really make a difference in your customers' lives, in your employees' lives. But what if you could take it a step further and make a difference as a socially responsible business? We're going to learn all about that on our episode today on Women Who Own It. So let me introduce our amazing guest. Karen Blackwell is the founder and CEO of Sage and Alms, a benefit corporation, as well as Kanda, a chocolate company produced entirely in Ghana, with a strong background in sales and marketing and a huge passion and calling for promoting social justice within business, which I'm so excited to talk about today. Karen is big on philanthropy and gives back to many different charities as the CEO. Karen develops and executes on strategic business models through global partnerships with a current focus on Ghana. So Karen, welcome to Women Who Own It.
Thank you so very much, Allison. And thank you to the WBENC community and those that are friends of the WBENC community. So if you're not a part of WBENC and you're listening in, I hope this information helps you too.
Oh, 100%. And I know that they are thrilled that you are a guest on the podcast today. And so, Karen, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how that led you to launching Sage and Alms and Kanda Chocolates and all of the other things that you got your hands in, because you were in corporate sales and marketing before this.
Yeah.
So what opened the door for you?
So I'm a biology major. I matriculated in corporate America, working for essentially two different companies only. And I was a marketing and sales leader. And it was my trip to Ghana, because at the time that I took my trip to Ghana, I was working for a mission-driven organization and I loved it, right? So I really didn't have a desire to say I needed to do more because I felt like I was doing a lot. And my trip to Ghana was really the change, right? So I took a trip to Ghana. I was there on a mission trip with other friends to learn about the business in Ghana. On one of those tours, I met someone who actually made chocolate. I actually specialized in giving different chocolate products to Belgium, which is the number one, chocolate eating country of the world,
yes.
Capital of the world. And so that being said, I was there, I tasted the chocolate. I was like, wait a minute, this is amazing. This is what this is what Belgium is experiencing. This is what chocolate should taste like. And I thought, wow, I couldn't get it off my mind. But it wasn't until I visited the Slave Coast Castle, which is also in Ghana, that I really started to connect that I wanted to do something with the chocolate. So the visit to the Slave Coast Castle really transformed, how I saw Ghana, the whole experience of bringing slaves to the United States, and how could I make a difference that wasn't all about charity? And we can really talk about that later, but just really, how could I do something that wasn't saying, I just want to give charity to Ghana. I want to give something bigger back. I want to be a part of what Ghana is trying to do. And so that's really what changed my mind. I still thought I was a little crazy, Allison. I came back, talked to some buyers, and I was like, how does chocolate sell? What do you think? And they were like, this is pre-COVID. So they were like, we can't keep chocolate on the shelf. Chocolate turns and turns. And this was going to like my dream stores, like a Whole Foods or any natural grocer. They cannot keep good chocolate. It does not stay on the shelf.
Wow.
I still
We're all addicted.
we are all addicted. Can you believe it had a boom during COVID? Like chocolate, the overall category had a boom. So go figure. And so
exactly.
right. And so we just couldn't keep it. They couldn't keep it on the shelves. And so I really still wasn't convinced until I just started going through the process. And so I did two things. I created Sage and Alms, which is our parent company, which was really to say, I'm going to start this chocolate business, but maybe I'll do more in the future. I just want to have a business that's based on servant leadership, and it has to be about giving back. And I wouldn't have done Kanda Chocolates if I didn't think we could do more as well. So it really was, I wouldn't have left corporate America just to do more of the same. It had to be that I was making a greater impact and that this was something I was led to do and meant to do. So that's kind of how it came to.
I love that. It's so interesting how one experience in our lives, and when we think back, created a whole new trajectory for you in so many ways. But here's the thing, Karen, is that you actually had the courage to take the leap. You know, had not had a business before, been in corporate background. Now you're importing from another country, right? Like that was a massive leap. And so, you know, kudos to you for doing that. But I also do think when we have those moments, and I know I've had some in my life where you really look at your life and say, wow, maybe it's time, you know, for that change. So yeah, that's powerful. Now I know that you're also very involved in different charity organizations, and I want to talk about Kanda in just a minute. But you're involved in other charity organizations through Sage and Alms, and you speak a lot about social responsibility through business. Can you share more about this with us?
Yeah, so in addition to what Kanda does, and we'll talk about that in a bit and kind of where it's, you know, how it helps Ghana, but just on the social justice piece, and here in the United States, one, we give 10% of our proceeds back to a charitable organization. This year, we're partnered with Social Justice Learning Institute in Inglewood, California. And really, it's about being able to do more, right? So I think there are other models out there. There are other companies that do it well, that partner social justice with their product. But it really was like, so I had two options, right? To either go and start a charity, or I start a product that sells and I can use that money to help others. And social justice is really just around creating environments where everyone can thrive. I mean, that's really the simple statement. And so justice for that is creating infrastructure where everyone can thrive, right? And the only way that happens is that we start to feed money into people that are doing that and organizations that are doing that, like the Social Justice Learning Institute.
Yeah, I love that. And so you specifically, your structure is you take 10% of proceeds and that automatically goes. And then plus, you know, you're directly related with Kanda and then, you know, other charities and so forth on top of that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in giving back. We do that a lot in my company as well. But I love that your business it's actually set up almost because of that. It's like the social justice piece comes first and the business comes second in a sense.
And it's interesting because when I went to go create my company, I had this dream of servant leadership. It had to make a difference. And then someone introduced me to benefit corporations. And I was like, okay, what is that? And I became a benefit corporation. But essentially it is, I would say, a contract you make with the state as a certain type of corporation that is focused on environmental and social justice. So you're basically making a contract with the community to say, not only am I saying it as Karen, not only does my website say it, but I'm also making a contract with you to say I'm going to do things, you know, and show you the results of doing these things. So it's interesting. I didn't even know that existed, but I was on my way to doing it before I even knew that it was something to do.
And I bet a lot of people listening to this have never heard that either. So definitely something to be checking out with your accountant and learn more about that.
Yes.
And so I also read that your cocoa for the chocolate is fair trade from
Yes.
Ghana. So can
Yeah.
you tell us exactly what does that mean and why should we be buying fair trade?
Fair trade essentially, and it's so interesting because I'm still telling friends today. So for anybody that doesn't know, don't feel in the dark. I just don't think there's been enough talk about it. It shows up as a symbol on a lot of products, not a lot of talk about it. That being said, or maybe where it's talked about, it's not in the circles that we were in, whichever that it may be. But fair trade essentially means that I am fairly trading with someone, which means I'm paying for the goods that they're giving me for that in a wage that is fair. And that word fair is interesting because right now in on the west coast of Africa, there's a lot of people that buy cocoa, the cocoa beans. And there's been a lot of uproar because the people that are actually supplying the beans, the cocoa beans, don't feel like they're getting paid fairly for this $300 billion industry where everyone is a millionaire except the people that are making the cocoa. And so fair trade says we're going to at least put a premium in place to ensure that someone that is buying, whether it's coffee, cocoa, or any other sugar, there's so many other items, but when you go to buy cocoa beans, you're actually paying a fair wage for those cocoa beans. I will tell you that the premium for fair trade cocoa is pennies. And I'm not referring to the certification. I'm just talking if before you get certified, if you just want to make sure you're buying fair trade before you go through the process to prove it to everyone else, you can still buy fair trade cocoa. And when you do that, the premium is pennies. So when I looked at what, I was like, wait, what? This is like 0.4% of whatever I'm buying. So yeah, it's not enough is actually my answer. So
Yeah,
some
it sounds
people,
like that's what I was going to say. I mean, here they're making it, right?
yeah,
So that's definitely something that's got to change. And I'm really glad that you're bringing this awareness to it. And also when it says fair trade, you can at least have more confidence that the people that
yes.
are manufacturing are or who are making the product are being more taken care of than the others that are not.
Exactly. And there's also other processes that come in there. And it also keeps child labor out of the process, which I don't know that everyone is, not every brand. I mean, there's been some issues that have come up where not everyone has been able to monitor completely as they would like to. I mean, it's a really hard thing to monitor, but those things are part of the fair trade process. And so fair trade ensures the wage. It also is good for the environment and it protects the children. So there's a multi-pronged approach to it.
That is huge. That is definitely huge. I will for sure be talking about that now that I'm learning more about this from you to our clients that are importing their products.
Yeah.
No, we would love to hear about your experiences in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
And why is it so important to buy products from there right now?
Wow. So my experience in Ghana, I do want to say, I had never been to Africa. And so I did a DNA test and part of my DNA has Ghanaian in it. So I thought, oh, I'm going to go to Ghana. I'm going to connect with my roots. And I absolutely did. But you get images of Ghana or you get images of Africa, and they truly are very different countries all over the entire continent. And when I went to Ghana, it was just this bustling, thriving city inside of Accra. And I mean, there's like Starbucks, there's, it's just not what you think it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some extreme poverty, but there is also some extreme wealth. So there's, just like in any country.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just this vibrant place full of joy. And I remember someone seeing some pictures that I brought back, and they were some of the kids in their African garbs carrying food on their head, right? So maybe coming from a community that wasn't entirely wealthy. That's the word I'm going to use. And they said, "Oh, don't you feel sorry? Didn't you?" And I said, "Oh no, like they had more joy than I can even explain. Like the joy was insurmountable. And they don't need charity." And so working with Ghana, the biggest thing that I've found is coming out of colonialism and going through that whole process, someone had to buy that debt. They owed money. So in order to come out of it, they had to have their debt purchased, which someone did. There is a country that purchased it, and they work very closely with that country, but they're still paying down that debt. And so essentially by me making chocolate in Ghana and buying things from Ghana, it's finished chocolate. It actually contributes to the export of finished chocolate. Very important. They get more money, they get a bigger cut, and it actually helps the country and the economy and jobs. So it's just a different perspective. A lot of people take their cocoa beans, run off and go make $1 million, which is, I'm not mad at that. And it's what happens all over the world. But if you can actually have something in Ghana, then you're actually making a bigger contribution. And so that's what we do.
Right. You're giving back, you're giving them work, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're fueling the economy, you're helping people feel good about themselves. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So I love it. Let's shift gears for a moment. I want to talk about business growth because those that are listening right now are working hard to grow and scale their businesses. And you and I both know that there can sometimes be challenges with that on a given day. So in scaling your business, what have been some of the biggest lessons that you have learned along the way? Here's another scale tip from the Scale It method, and that is strategic vision, cash flow, alliance of the team, leadership, and execution, the acronym for SCALE, the 5 pillars that you must have to scale your company. And today we're going to talk about leadership. So as you're scaling your business, you have to shift from being a boss to being a leader, from telling people what to do to inspiring them into action. Nobody really likes to be told what to do. They want to be all in. So leadership is really all about you. So if you're frustrated with the way things are going with your team, you kind of have to look in the mirror and see how you're showing up. It's all about communication. It's all about sharing the vision. And so when you're upset or you're frustrated, you're going to have to take a breath, because doing that angry text or sending that email that you're frustrated, you might regret it later. So think about how this is going to impact you down the line. And remember, for leadership, it is all about tapping into your own personal growth. If you want to grow your business by 40% in the next 12 months, then you personally as a leader need to grow 60% to be able to carry that 40%. So it is a forever ongoing growth-oriented experience being that leader and that CEO in your business. So I hope this scale tip was helpful for you, and we'll get back to the show, Women Who Own It.
My number one biggest lesson coming from, and it's something that I forgot from corporate America, is that I thought coming into this retail CPG business that there was a ladder to climb. Okay, so we're all on this same ladder. The rung looks like this. You climb up to the next level. When in fact, what you learn in corporate America is that there's actually a lattice. There is a lattice. And when you've seen one retail business, you have seen one. So that retail business over there may have this path to exceed. Another one may have a different path, but we can all climb up the lattice, and you can go over here and climb up. So if everyone can imagine like a lattice, when you're comparing yourself, I think this is so important, to other brands. You don't know their story, you don't know their cost or the cogs to run their business. And so don't compare. And that was that's like the hardest lesson. I spent the first 6 months trying to figure out the other formulas, when finally I was like, wait, I actually got over here this way, but I thought it was a ladder. I thought I had to go A to B to C. And so all the different paths that I've taken have led me to continue to grow, and they're not anything that I would have predicted. And so I hope that helps in the sense of, for whoever's listening, if you can think of yourself climbing a lattice, what you want to do is just keep moving forward. That is the goal. Are you growing? Are you moving forward? Are you learning? If you hit a stumbling block, is it something you can learn from? If you're learning, even if it's, so it doesn't have to be sales propelling forward. If you're learning something and you and you pivot like we all did during COVID, then there's a way forward. And so that's like my biggest learning lesson, is to not duplicate, but to listen to the learned lesson. So all the lessons that we share on these podcasts, then yes, take those and learn from them and use them so you don't have to stumble, and that you can jump over to that part of the lattice and keep climbing up, right? So that's the hope from my learned lessons, is to not necessarily duplicate somebody else, and that you can have your own
Yeah.
path.
Oh my gosh. There's so much wisdom in that. Like I could talk for an hour about what you just
Please
said.
do.
That is so powerful, Karen, because, well, let's just, the first part of it, I believe that we work so hard in our business, and it's like, it's never enough. It's kind of the type of people we are, we're driven.
Mhm.
And it's very easy to compare. Oh, I'm not there yet. They're much further along, but there are so many different circumstances. And if you're comparing, you're putting yourself down.
Yep.
Right. And so we definitely don't want that. I love the analogy with the lattice. I think that is absolutely brilliant visual, because the thing that's so cool about business is that you do get to make up your own journey. Right.
Yes.
Where in corporate America, you don't have as much of that flexibility. And so I do believe it's nice, because you could turn left and go around if you
Mhm.
wanted,
Yes.
and then back
Yes.
up.
Yes.
And so this idea of, just keep moving forward, and the progress, the
Yes.
continued movement is, you will be growing and evolving. And whether it means that your top line or your bottom line is growing, but it could be you're getting better at building your team. It could be that
Yes.
you're becoming a better leader. I mean, there's so much of it there. So thanks for sharing that. That was powerful.
Thank you for
I mean,
asking.
you mentioned pivot,
Mm-hmm.
which is, definitely had been the word of 2020, and still, as
Yeah.
we are moving into now a whole new world where everybody's wondering, I wonder what it's going to be like. What were some of the strategies that allowed you to pivot during COVID? And, I'm sure it had an impact on you in some way, although good for you on the chocolate doing so well during COVID.
But there definitely had to be a pivot. There are still more challenges that I experienced. I think, gosh, that word, it's almost triggering. I got to think back to 2020, but it is the thing that really got me is that when I launched right before COVID, right before the pandemic, I had this vision. So I'm giving you an answer that's going to include the challenge and the pivot. I'm just telling you, because the challenge is like, imagining, this is why you shouldn't compare to others, imagining I'm ready to go into the store, let me get my retail ready boxes. And guess who I forgot? Almost the consumer. I didn't really have a D2C product. I had chocolate bars, but they were in boxes of 10. And customers didn't want to buy boxes of 10 unless they go, you want to go to the store and buy one bar. And so with COVID, again, learning lesson is I was like, oh my goodness, I have to pivot to survive. I'm going to have to like double down on my e-commerce. I have to get onto Amazon, like let me rush and hurry up. I have to make 3-pack of chocolates versus a 10-pack. I have to start making gift packs. I have to start doing all these things to get to customers. And then beyond that, so beyond changing the packaging, I had to look at partners. So there was different brands that started reaching out, whether it was wine or there was a whiskey brand, and we started doing events. So now I'm on Zoom, right? So getting people to taste my chocolate, offering this chocolate tasting, and you get to learn about it and then drink a little wine or whiskey with it. So we would do those, all the way to partnering with like subscription boxes. I mean, it just kept growing, I think, essentially. And then I also learned that, so I even started guest blogging. So I've written a couple of blogs. These are things I really didn't think I was going to have to do this, but I was like, anything to talk about Kanda Chocolates and fair trade chocolate. And so I wrote guest blogs. I was showing up. I even spoke on MLK Day because why? Because I get to talk about Kanda Chocolates at the end. So any and every opportunity, like I became a part of the brand. If I were to boil this down again to some bullet points, it really was refocusing on D2C, making sure the consumer was forward, making events that consumers and my customers could participate in, engaging on social media, waking up at 2 a.m, sometimes to respond to an Instagram post because I never wanted a customer to think I didn't see their post or didn't respond. And literally just using yourself as a part of your company, like, right, me as a part of the brand. So I showed up everywhere, and so does this Kanda Chocolates t-shirt, and let's go, let's talk about it. So anything I could do, and it's helped.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because COVID forced a lot of people to get more creative.
Yes.
But it sounds to me like, definitely for the direct to consumer and digital during COVID was
Yeah.
apparently sales were almost double of 2019. So the timing was definitely good there. But I love how you have been so creative in getting that visibility. I also saw one of the news, you were on the news
Oh,
as
yeah.
well, being interviewed, and you're getting the word out about Kanda, and you're also getting the word out about creating a socially responsible business, which is powerful. And then you just mentioned Amazon. How has Amazon been for your business?
Oh my gosh. Amazon, it's so funny. I tell them, they know that I say this about them, but when you think about the word Amazon and you're like, wait, that's a jungle. Amazon is a jungle. So for anybody listening, please, there is a way. It does get better. There is strategies to employ for Amazon, but working with Amazon has been amazing. One thing to note for all WBENC women out there, own businesses, is that they really do highlight women-owned businesses in our certification. So if you're certified, they came and found me, and they've been highlighting me on Women's Day. From that, I had Diane von Furstenberg pick me in her top picks, and Kiki Palmer. I mean, that was amazing. I've been showing that picture everywhere. And we have something coming up now we're going to be doing soon, shortly. So I guess I don't get to really speak about it, but I'm actually about to do a live recording with them and talking to Amazon and sharing my story. So they have been beyond supportive. I even am in a program where they gave me an ambassador, someone from Amazon to work with. So the blessings have been abundant.
See,
Yeah.
it happens when you're doing good in the world.
Yes.
And I had not heard about that with women-owned businesses with Amazon. So thanks for sharing that. I'm sure that will impact a lot that are listening right now. And then let's just talk about the chocolates for just a second.
Yes.
And I'm dying to get my hands on some, so I will be ordering some today.
Gladly you some. Oh my gosh, we're just glad you send you some.
Oh my goodness. So how many varieties do you make, or how that they're making in Ghana? And what's
so right now, and we actually sent out a survey, but right now we have 3 flavors that come in bars or minis. And that's extra dark, dark, and milk chocolate. And there was a strategy of craziness behind that, which was, I want to know that people like this chocolate before I add anything to it. So I'm going to go a year. I'm going to see if you like it. If you like it, if you love it the way that I do, then we'll add some things to it. So sent out a survey, and I've been working with a food scientist, and we have 3 new flavors coming out this fall that I can't wait. That people voted for. So I picked the top 2, and then I added in a fun one that's kind of indigenous to Ghana. But yeah, so we have milk chocolate at 38%, dark chocolate at 56%, and then extra dark chocolate at 72% cocoa. But the dark chocolate at 56%, I call that my converter. So that is, if you don't like dark chocolate, I give a piece, the mini, hopefully, to someone, and it actually converts them. They're like, oh, I didn't like dark chocolate, but now I do. So it's literally about learning about what's the percentages that make dark chocolate, but it's just over the threshold for dark chocolate. So it's enough to not have milk in it for those that are plant-based or vegan, but it's enough to just be enough sweetness, enough chocolate, just that whole right hint to kind of convert some people from who don't eat dark chocolate that only want to eat milk.
Now, wait, what? How can you not love dark chocolate? That's the thing that I don't get, because wow, so that sounds amazing. And how fun for you also, because, makes people feel good. So
that is the joy part. Like it's, it somehow ended up being a tagline I write on notes, because it's really, on the box it says Ghana being good, but for me, I was kind of shying away from it. And I was like, no, it's okay. We're bringing you chocolate joy. If you like chocolate, then, here we are. So it's really about it is, whether it's joy for the people eating it or joy for the people making it that we're paying a premium to, the whole process, this should be a joyful experience. Chocolate should be happy.
Well, it definitely is, and especially the way that you are operating. And how has WBENC been a support to you in this whole process from your certification and in this business?
So I have two to three certifications, and WBENC has been the most engaged, number one, as an entity. And then within WBENC, when you talk about your fellow WBENCers, they too have been the most engaging. I've been in pitch competitions, and even though I didn't win the pitch competition, I still met amazing other women business owners, and we connected. We still stay in touch. We exchange samples, and we support one another. So that piece right there is worth $1 million. But seriously, because I get the advice that you would have to fast track, like where else would you get this advice from, of sharing experiences? And so between the pitches, they also put me in a gift guide. They're always celebrating me. I mean, it's actually been tremendous, and it's nothing that I even expected. I thought, I get this certification, you check the box and go on and tell the stories that you're women owned. But it's so much more than that. It's so much more. So when people are deciding between certifications, women owned is the number one. I always tell people, if you want to get something from it, you should get a WBENC certification.
Yeah, well, I'm on a mission for the awareness for women business owners out there to know more about WBENC, because like you said, they support in so many ways. I mean, on the corporate side, but also just supporting the WBEs and just the positivity of the community of WBENC. So thank you for sharing that. And so looking into the future, Karen, as the world begins to open up, do you have new plans for Kanda, or maybe any other ventures that you want to share?
Sure. In addition to new flavors, which is actually the most exciting thing, because if one more person tells me they don't eat it without a nut or a salt, I'm gonna scream. But in addition to new flavors, we also just launched, actually today, we were one of the 12 winners out of like 100 people, 100 brands, to get into the trend finders for KeHE. KeHE is, a leading distributor for natural foods. So all I can say is that you should expect to see Kanda on your actual retail store shelves. So it won't be something that you just have to order or go on Amazon. We're in small stores across the country today, but the ability to grow with KeHE and other distributors is amazing. So looking forward to that.
Well, I'm looking forward to that too. And I'm just really excited about what you're doing in the world, Karen. And thank you. I am sure for those that are listening are truly inspired and thinking about, how could I shift to a benefit corporation? How could I give back in what I do? I think it's just so important. So thank you so much for being with us today on Women Who Own It.
Thank you so much, Allison. And again, thank you so much, WBENC. Love the community, and I'm just excited to have had this opportunity. So thank you.
You're welcome. And so for those of you, if you enjoyed this episode of Women Who Own It, please subscribe if you haven't. Share it with your the other women-owned businesses that you know. Help us to get the word out. And if you enjoy this, please give a review. We would love that as well. Until next time, get out there and elevate yourself, because you are worth it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.